Hey, I'm Vlad and we are going to see in this video how to connect your ChatGPT to any other external sources so it can extend its superpower. We will use an example of how to connect Instagram to ChatGPT so ChatGPT can have access to listing profiles or checking different posts, also having transcript of different reels from your competitors' profiles, and it can analyze based on the data all those posts that went viral or didn't work, so you can save lots of time. So let's see step by step how to do that. For this, we are going to use GPT's capabilities that ChatGPT provides. If you're using ChatGPT for a long time, you know that there are multiple tools that are accessible out of box. For example, it's deep research, image creation, web search, canvas, and a few different connections that ChatGPT can get data from, like Google Drive, OneDrive. But GPTs allow you to create your own connections, so ChatGPT can have an access to other external sources of data. And everyone can create its own GPT depending on data it needs. So let's create our GPT that will have an access to Instagram. And let's name it like my Instagram body and provide simple description for that. GPTs that helps you to analyze Instagram. So we can provide a so-called system prompt, so what exactly it should do and how. So here we will put something like, also we can add knowledge base. So basically knowledge is something your agent should know that it doesn't have in like general knowledge. For example, it can be your business specifics, for example, services that you can provide, pricing, some non-public information that agent should have an access to. And the main part, what we need to add opportunities to access Instagram, called actions, and we will create new actions. So actions means that your GPTs have an access to external tools, either to request some information or to do some action, so it can invoke some processes or, like, let's say, create a phone call to someone or anything you can imagine to start some process like a real agent. So the first part we can see that we need to fill is authentication. So basically who use our API. And second one is schema. So what fields and what information our agent should provide to external service to get a particular response and result. In this video for API, we're going to use Rapid API that allows you to connect many API other developers create for different purposes. They also provide different scrapers, and that's why I like this platform, so you can fastly check and connect different abilities to your agents. Let's see what it looks like. Let's type Instagram in search bar and see what we can see here. I use usually this API because I know it works, but you can choose whatever you feel works for you. So let's see this Instagram social API at this moment. So on the front page of API, you can see like different rating of this API and some plans that developer has. And you also can see documentation for different abilities that this API provides. So endpoints and what they do. So for example, here we can see that this search reels is just search for reels. And for example, this reels endpoint, it gets user reels, 12 reels at a time. So you can read some details about what it does. To start, we need just to subscribe to this plan. I'm already subscribed, but it will look like this. So you can see that there is a free tier for this API. You can use 500 requests a month for free. And if you need more, you can always extend this. And let's see how it works, for example, for search. In this UI, you can always try some simple requests. For example, here we will search for reels and posts, like if you type in Instagram search bar Mr. Beast and just test it. And we got 18 items, so it means like we got 18 latest posts and reels, and this is data we got. This data is provided in JSON format. We can see raw, but JSON is more representative. And we can scroll and see how data is represented. So we have some URLs to those posts, for example. It looks like this. Here we got some data that we can research. So basically it's general information about posts, so what type of that post, what are engagement with that post, and potentially if that reels, it can have transcription, media related, video itself, so we can extract whatever we need. One limitation GPT has, it cannot have multiple custom headers. That prevents us from using this API directly because it requires more difficult authentications than just passing one header or one token. Because of this, we are going to wrap our Rapid API into our personal created API and we will host it. And for this, we are going to use Cloudflare workers. It's a simple way to host some custom logic you want to share and expose, and you can also do it for free. Here's our dashboard that we can see. It will execute some logic that we will write, and for writing the logic we don't need exactly how to code. We will ask our GPT to write all this based on the API description we have from Rapid API. Let's name it something like Rapid API Instagram list reels. And let's edit the code. To write the code part, we are going to use ChatGPT, and for this we need to explain what exactly to write. And we have this example in Node.js that also Cloudflare worker supports, so we can see this code is in Node.js, and we just need to use ChatGPT and say, write me a handler function for a Cloudflare worker. So we explained to ChatGPT what exactly do we want and how we are going to authenticate to it, because we want our API to be protected with basic authorization. So for this we will use API keys that only we know, so to prevent usage from unauthorized parties. And here we can see that ChatGPT generated code that we will use. So we're going to copy it and see what exactly do we have here. So one thing we want to update here is not to put always Mr. Beast in the search, and we want to do it dynamic, so whatever our needs, we want to pass them and search for anything we want, so it will be used as a query param, and we need to specify that explicitly, so our ChatGPT can generate the correct code. Let's do that. One more thing we want to update is authorization part. So it generated a code where it wants to pass this particular API key for Rapid API, and it's not good to do that because of security reasons. So we don't want to expose to ChatGPT our API key to Rapid API, and we want to keep it as close to Rapid API as possible, and our backend part, that is our worker, and we will separate those authorization pieces and put everything separately and want to update our function. We got our function and we will use it in our clouds layer. To finish setup of our API endpoint, we need to pass two parameters to our environment, the particular Rapid API key and user API key that we want to set up. We can do it inside our Cloudflare dashboard in settings and variables and secrets. And we can add our variable name called user API key, and we should put some string, some good password. It's not a password, but a key, but yeah, let's keep it like that. And we also need our Rapid API key. And we can get it from our example of a query here. And right now we can validate that our API endpoint works. To validate that our API works that we just created, we need to test it. And for this we can use some online HTTP callers, for example, one of them called Ragbin. And here we can specify with what parameters, headers, and where to do a call. So we can do that just copying our endpoint, providing query param as, I don't know, Mr. Beast as it was. And also we need to specify our API key. And it was some API key. Okay, yeah. We see that we got the response. And let's say if something would be wrong with this key, we will get our unauthorized. So this part works, and we can get back to our ChatGPT. So first we are going to specify authentication. And for this we are going to use API key with a custom header. So our header, our API key will be some API key as we set up, and header name will be X API key. So we save it, and we need to describe a schema that we are going to send. And secondly, we need to describe schema. For this, we can use Action GPT that OpenAI provides, where we can just describe what schema we want. So usually you can provide just results themselves in a JSON form, but in our case it's too long to be just provided as is, and we are going to transform our JSON into a more compact way, for example in a schema in TypeScript, and we will just copy the result we got from Rapid API. As we can see, it's just 6,000 rows and it's compressed into compact types, and let's copy it here. Here is my response. Here we got our long result. Let's put it to our schema. And as you can see, available actions are popped by our agent. So we have search posts with get endpoint, and we can test it. And here you can see that our request failed because of responses too large. So that means ChatGPT cannot process that amount of data it receives, so we need to also compress it somehow. For this, we are going just to remove lots of unnecessary fields that we don't need for that analytics, and we will just ask same ChatGPT to update our function. Let's copy the code and update our function code and redeploy it. So we make it shorter, and let's test it one more time. Okay, Instagram post for keyword travel. So here's some thumbnail. I wonder what is thumbnail properties. Okay, yeah, we can get those thumbnails, but let's keep it only to me. And we can test it. What are the... And we can see that our GPT is going to request Instagram. And yeah, we have all those references. Let's check it. Here's one of the latest posts. Here's how you can add whatever API you want that exists, or you can create your own and connect it to ChatGPT to extend its capabilities. So we saw that it has its limitations, that we cannot just random requests, we need to provide a schema. We also have limitations with the responses, so we can not provide like infinite response or a few megabytes of response, and we need to compress it. So our ChatGPT can analyze it. Share in a comment what connection do you want to create and add to your ChatGPT, and hit likes and subscribe, and see you in the next video.